Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Jeff here today with another video of Brawl Stars, and in today's video we'll be giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to push trophies really fast. So for beginners slash casual players to like competitive players, like top players, I'll be giving you guys tips on how to push trophies really fast. And in the beginning of the video you will see that I gained like 230 trophies or something, and I've just been playing some showdown with Frank for like 1.5 hours, and I just gained 200 trophies. It was obviously like lower in trophy, like around 300 trophy. Well, I pushed around 220 to like 450 or something. But you know, if you're up higher, you're definitely gonna not win as much, and if you do lose, you're gonna lose much more. So anyways, I'll be giving you guys some tips. So we're gonna start with the beginner slash casual players. So my best tip for trophy pushing is definitely you have to invest a lot of time into. If you want to push a lot of trophies, you definitely need to like play a lot every single day. And also you have to have good teammates. So if you, let's say, like, first of all, you should always try to find a really active band, and the requirement, like the trophy of the members should be around your own trophies. You might, if there's a couple guys that are like much higher trophies, it's definitely good because you can be able to spectate them to learn from them. Or if you can, you know, if you get lucky, you can actually play with them. So they can give you tips and advice on how to play better. Or you can, if you don't find a band that you're like, that you don't find a band that's like really active, and you don't have much friends, like your friend list doesn't have much active players, what you can do is, what I really recommend is get on Discord and find some other players. Join like some of the top bands Discord, or you can even join Lex's Discord. There's a lot of people in there, and you can just make some friends, or like the official Brawl Stars server, make some friends, and you know, try to find a really active band and join it, because that way you can just always have people to play with, because you do not want to play a random player just because you don't know what they're gonna do. Sometimes they run 10 gems into the opponent, die, and then you guys were winning with 10 gems and your teammate decides to just kill himself. So yeah, you definitely do not want to play random players public matches. You usually always want to play in a game room. If you try all those methods, then your last choice is showdown. But showdown is kind of annoying because there is well, there's definitely two: showdown and duo showdown. Showdown is going to be a lot of teaming once you get higher in trophies. For duo showdown, you know, if you can't really find a room, then you kind of have to play with a random player. But it's duo showdown, it's not as bad because it's only one other guy. So if you can't really find one, I would recommend playing duo showdown, unless you want a team in showdown, because most of the time, if you're like not like really good, you're not going to be able to like 1v2 1v3 in solo showdown. So most of the times, if you want to win up higher in trophies like 400, 500, or even 600, you're going to have to team to actually win. So if you don't want a team, then you can't actually play duo showdown because you're not going to be able to win. And if you are lucky enough to be able to find a team that you can play with, definitely try to play like the good brawlers for the specific map. I won't be really doing a video on it just because many YouTubers have already done like good comps for basically for every single game mode. There's always like these certain ones that are really good on there. But if you want to be super like competitive, I guess you can always play like the meta brawlers or comps for that specific map. So you can go check out like Haro's channel or Lex's channel. They have like videos of which like comp is good for which map, so you can go check it out and you can play those comps if you want to be really like successful, I guess, in a way. Of course, the comp doesn't really matter as much. It's more of the players that is playing it. So if you play like the meta comp versus another like troll comp, and if the other opponents are way better, then they're still gonna win nevertheless, because this game is all about skills, not really about like your level of your brawlers and the comp that you're playing. So yeah, definitely try to play like the better brawlers for the map. You don't want to play like Mortis or Piper in Heist, so just keep in mind that. And try to like talk to your teammates. Like let's say one of you guys are playing Terra, one of you guys are playing like Nita. You need to like discuss like which one is going, and let's say you're not going like a real comp, like a real meta comp. You're playing like, I don't know, Jesse and Poco. Maybe usually one of you would go to mid, collect gems, and one of you would go like on the side. So you have to kind of discuss with your teammates about that. And after a match, you do not want to, even if you lose and your teammates absolutely through, you don't want to get like too angry at them. Just tell them like, hey bro, like you did this wrong, next time do this better, or something like that. Don't just like absolutely rage at them and start, you know, being really toxic. And you know, you guys, if you are like the let's say you do see someone, like one of your teammates, do something wrong, definitely just remind them of that after the match and say, do this better or do this instead. And for the showdown part, you really just have to play well. There's not really much tips that I can give you for pushing trophies, unless like the only tips I can give you would be just like how to play the game better, basically how to dodge better, how to hit more of your shots. That's like the only things you have to kind of keep in mind of when you're playing showdown, just because it doesn't really matter that much about which kind of brawler you're playing. It's kind of depending. It's more of like you can kind of play showdown in two different ways. One is just kind of like surviving, kind of just like going around the map, surviving, and hopefully getting second, or if you can clutch like the first place, definitely go for it. But like there's also another way, which is like kind of rushing or going like more aggressive, trying to kill opponents and try to get a lot of boxes. That's also another way. Obviously that's more dangerous, because if you're going to try to kill other players, you definitely have a higher chance of dying. But it's like high risk, high reward. If you do kill them, you get more elixir, and if you kill someone with like a lot of elixir, you have a really high like elixir advantage or the power up advantage, and you can be able to win much easier. However, if you do have a lot more elixir, people tend to team up on you. Like, not really teaming, but it's kind of like a temporary truce, because they're both like lower elixir and you're like the big elixir guy, so they're gonna most likely kind of like truce together and team up on you because they want to kill you because you have the most elixir. So you also have to keep in mind of that. Just have obviously good and bad about having a lot of elixir. But yeah, sometimes you just get teamed on, and it's just kind of like an instinct thing, because most of the time you want to take out the big guy, and then you two, and then the rest of the guys battle out for the first place. Okay, so now for the tips for the competitive players, it's definitely, if you're like not like one of the best, you probably want to play like with like good players, or with matchmaking. So a lot of people have asked me what matchmaking is, and it's basically just like if you're in a band, like the room creator, whichever the room creator is in, you won't verse anyone from the band. So let's say the room creator is in Nova Esports, you won't be able to verse anyone in Nova Esports. And since there's a really small player pool, and the only players who still play the game is Nova, like the really really good players, they're all Nova. And so if you have Nova matchmaking, you're never gonna verse like really good players, because everyone else who still plays join Nova. So you basically that's why you see matches where you match up against like people that's like twice your trophy level. That's why that happens. But there's a downside for that. Is, well, the good side is you verse players that are like so much like they're not as skilled as you, like twice you're like twice the amount of trophies as them. But it usually matchmaking takes around like 2 to 5 minutes. Sometimes it even goes up to like 6-7 minutes, depending on when you're playing and how much what your trophy for your brawlers are. But there's also another way. If you are quite skilled at the game and you're confident in your team and yourself, like your skills and your team skills, the best way to push trophies is actually play without matchmaking, because you will get matches like every 30 minutes maximum. Well, not really maximum, but 30 minutes to like 1 minute. That's like the most time it would take for matchmaking usually if you play without matchmaking, because you'll verse basically everyone in the game. So you can verse other top players as well. And since a lot of top players right now, they're all unknown because everyone quit. So these guys are just taking their chances, pushing up the trophies, and these guys always play with matchmaking. So that means they have no experience against versing other top players. So usually they're pretty easy. They're not that skilled, because they're always like playing against like noobs, basically. Not really noobs, but they're usually playing against people that are like 5,000, 6,000 trophies. And as like a 12k player, that's like nothing. They can easily beat them. So they have no skills, no experience against versing other top players. So if you just play without matchmaking, you can easily beat them. So that's why that's a good thing about it. If you're like really skilled, that's definitely the way that you should play, is play without matchmaking. You get to verse all the top players, as well as like improve your skills, and like matchmaking so much faster, so you'll be able to play much more games. And if you are like skilled enough, you can be able to win like 2 or 3 times more amount playing without matchmaking than with matchmaking. So it's like usually at the top of the leaderboard, it's all about how much time you put into the game, because most of the time you're gonna win every single game. So you should, like, if you don't want to put, like, a lot of players, they play with matchmaking and they play like 12 hours a day. And if you don't want to spend that much time, then the best way is to just play without matchmaking. You can probably get in like 2-3 matches without matchmaking, then with matchmaking, and if you win all 3 of them, you'll be able to win like 3 times the amount in 5 minutes than someone with playing matchmaking. So it's definitely like a better way of pushing. And obviously you want to have like a lot of really skilled players, so you probably want to join like top bands. You don't really want to hop around, but most like join Discord, like talk to other top players and try to add them on your friends list. Have like a really good friend list, like a full friend list that's like really good players, like top players, or like some lower guys that are really good at the game. A lot of people think that like if you want to like do really well, you have to be on voice chat, and really that's not that necessary. Obviously it's gonna be like much better if you play like on voice chat. You're gonna have more fun, as well as it's gonna be much easier to like communicate. But most of the times, like the really like experienced player, they're gonna know basically everything on the map that's gonna happen, so they're gonna keep in mind of every single player, like where they are, their teammates, as well as the opponent. So you don't really have to tell you don't have to like really tell them this person has like Tara has a super, unless they died and then they just respawn, so they don't see the middle of the map. So you know, sometimes you do have to tell, like it is better to be on voice chat, because if they don't know that this person is there, let's say they just died, like I just said, they died, and obviously they won't be able to see the map, so they won't know that, you know, this person has a super or this Shelly is inside the bush. So but most of the times they're not really that. Most of the times people are careful to check the bushes, so you don't always have to like be on voice chat, but obviously it's much better. But usually you're not really going to be on voice chat, since if you do have a really good friend list, you're gonna have a lot of players, and you're probably not all of them is gonna play with like most of the times they don't always have Discord, and you're probably not going to be playing with voice chat with most of them. So you know, just keep in mind that it's not always necessary. Obviously it's much more fun, as well as it's just a little better to play with matchmaking, but most of the times it doesn't really matter as much. So another tip that actually a lot of people don't know, and I think that it should be pretty like simple, and I thought that everyone would know about this, but they actually don't. So if you are, let's say you're at 12k, then you would have most of your brawlers at 600, and you'll probably push some of them to 700. But let's say when I was pushing to 15k, I would need to have every single brawler at 700 trophies, and the fastest way to push is actually pushing all of them to 700 instead of pushing some. Let's say like the ones that aren't as good, like Bo or Pan, like the harder ones to push, leave them at lower trophies and push some of the brawlers to 800. That way, you know, it's much easier to push, because you don't have to push like the harder brawlers. But there is a disadvantage that you don't win as much trophies, as well as you lose more trophies the higher up trophies you are on your brawler. So it's best if you push every single brawler. So you know, maybe if you're lower trophies, you win like 200 trophies, I think you lose 4 trophies only once you lose. If you're like 300 trophies, you lose 5. So it's much better to just push every single brawler to, let's say, like a certain amount, like 300 trophies, and then push all of them to 400, and not just push like your favorite brawlers to like really high and then leave like the other guys at like 200 trophies. So that's just kind of like some tips that you guys should know, and if you aren't doing it, definitely do it, just much better. And also you get to play every single brawler. Like the people who say, oh, I'm a brawler main, that is just, no, you do not want to be like that. You want to be good with every single brawler, or at least decent with every single brawler. Right, so as you can see there, that was the last match, and we just won first place. And we're gonna go back here. As you can see, 323 trophies in just like 1.5 hours. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.